There's 4. Ooh!
Bull riding does not forgive. 1 second you can feel in control and the next everything falls apart. The moments you will see here are not common. They are those that happen once in a million. So extreme that they become part of history. Let's go with the first 5 cases. Number 10. Brady Olson.
Man, that bull is so good. That cowboy is so good. Oh, buddy. Man, wow. Get him up and get him out.
The case of Brady Olson is remembered as one of those in which the violence of the bull surpasses any preparation. Olson came out determined, focused, with his eyes fixed. Only a few seconds had passed when the animal launched an explosive upward movement, lifting him into the air as if he weighed nothing. The crowd barely had time to react when the bull received him with a second blow, this time straight against the ground. It was a double punishment, dry, brutal, that left him without air. That instant was eternal. The camera captured it clearly, Olson's body bending, his hands searching for a support that didn't exist, the expression of pain as he clutched his abdomen. The crowd went silent. The bullfighters entered immediately, tracing a triangle of protection, knowing that every second counted. Olson tried to get up, but his legs didn't respond. The people held their breath until finally, with help, he managed to leave the arena, hunched over, as if he were carrying the weight of the entire impact on his back. What was striking about this case was not only the fall, but the bull's precision. It wasn't enough to just throw him off. It hit him twice, as if it knew exactly where it would hurt most. It was one of those moments when brute force mixes with bad luck, creating a memory impossible to erase. Number 9. Bob Mitchell. Bob Mitchell is a rider with nerves of steel, but not even his experience saved him from being marked by one of the hardest blows of his career. Just as he left the chute, the bull showed strange behavior. Instead of the usual spins, it lunged in a short and dry jolt that completely threw him off balance. Mitchell lost his position in the blink of an eye and was thrown forward, straight into the animal's charge. The arena shook with the impact. The blow was so strong it was heard even in the highest stands. Mitchell fell on his back, tried to get up, but instantly doubled over, clutching his side. The crowd, who always expect to see the rider rise with a gesture of pride, knew immediately that something was wrong. Every breath was a reminder of the pain that had been etched into his ribs. What followed was even more impressive. While the bullfighters distracted the bull, Mitchell made a superhuman effort to stand up and walk toward the barrier. He didn't run, he didn't smile, he barely advanced with a stiff step, gritting his teeth, his face contorted. That silent, slow walk was worth more than any words. It was proof of the price paid in this sport. Bob Mitchell earned the crowd's respect that day, not for lasting 8 seconds, but for enduring the pain when everything in his body begged him to fall. Number 8. Mason Taylor.
Punchy Pete able.
If anyone knows how to stay on the bull, it is Mason Taylor, but that time fate was not on his side. The bull shot out, lifting him with excessive violence. What seemed like just another fall turned into an unexpected punishment. The animal waited below, and just as he descended, it struck him directly in the abdomen. It was a surgical move, calculated to the millimeter. Taylor tried to roll away, but the pain left him paralyzed. In the replays, you can clearly see how he clutched his stomach, trying to recover the air that had escaped him. The sensation of losing your breath is indescribable. An emptiness in the chest, a buzzing in the ears, the body refusing to react. That's how Taylor was in the middle of the arena, while the bull was still spinning, looking for someone to punish. The bullfighters ran to cover him, risking their own bodies. Thanks to them, Taylor managed to get out. They escorted him toward the exit, bent over, taking short steps, his lips tight with pain. The crowd bid him farewell with applause, knowing that what they had just witnessed was not just an accident. It was a reminder that a bull can strike at the exact moment when you are most vulnerable. Mason Taylor did not leave walking like a defeated man, but like a survivor of a blow that seemed designed to destroy him. Number 7. Cooper Davis. Cooper Davis experienced firsthand what it means to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. The bull threw him forward and in a fraction of a second swung its head violently. It was a brutal headbutt, straight to the face that sounded like thunder inside the arena. The crowd froze. The impact shook him completely. Davis staggered, disoriented, not understanding where he was. Despite the helmet, the pain was immediate. A burning in his jaw, a metallic taste in his mouth, and the sensation that the world was spinning around him. He tried to get up again, but his steps were clumsy, his gaze lost, searching for a fixed point so as not to fall again. The crowd watched in silence, holding their breath. In the replay, you could see how the blow had been direct, without cushioning, as if the bull had aimed specifically at his face. The bullfighters quickly got him out of the arena, and Davis, still stunned, ran his tongue over his teeth, confirming what everyone suspected. One or several were no longer in place. That day, Cooper Davis didn't win points or seconds, but he won something harder to achieve: respect. Because standing up after an impact like that is not normal, and because getting back on a bull after feeling the skull of an animal weighing nearly a ton crash into your face, that is having a courage that very few can understand. Number 6. Briggs Madson. The nightmare of any rider is called being hung up, and Briggs Madson lived it in the cruelest way. His hand got stuck in the rope, and suddenly, he was no longer a rider. He was a puppet dragged by the fury of the bull. Every jolt slammed him against the arena. Every spin launched him into a new impact. The crowd screamed, understanding that this was not just an accident, but a life-or-death situation. The bullfighters ran desperately, trying to free the rope. They were seconds that felt eternal. Madson was hanging, his body spinning, unable to protect himself or fall. His arms and legs flailed uncontrollably, while the beast dragged him as if he were a toy. When they finally managed to release him, the silence in the arena was absolute. Madson lay on the ground, gasping, his gaze fixed on the sky, trying to understand that he had survived. His chest rose with difficulty, his arm numb, his legs trembling uncontrollably. When he finally managed to stand, the ovation was deafening. Everyone knew they had just witnessed something that rarely ends well. That moment became a living warning. In this sport, the line between life and tragedy can be as thin as a knot in a rope. Briggs Madson walked away on his feet, but with a mark that will never fade from either his body or his memory. 5 names, 5 images impossible to forget. Brady Olson, Bob Mitchell, Mason Taylor, Cooper Davis, and Briggs Madson. Each one faced the bull under different circumstances, but all made the same thing clear. In this sport, 1 second is enough for what seemed under control to turn into absolute chaos. Number 5. Chase Doerty. The name Chase Doerty appears on this list because he lived through one of those impacts that freeze the entire arena. The bull came out with a dry, sudden power, without warning, with a push that ripped Chase out of his balance line. He tried to recover his body's center, but a sharp spin threw him face first into the dirt. There was no time to roll or to cover up. The animal advanced and caught him with its front legs. The helmet absorbed part of the blow, but the body went into defense mode. Short breathing, blurred gaze, hands trying to push against the ground as if there were a way out there. The bullfighters formed a human barrier and diverted the bull with pure bravery. Chase ended up on his knees, then planted one boot, then the other. He stood up through strength of character, not strength of body. That slow walk to the fence, with the crowd silent at first and applauding afterward, explains why this sport is so raw and so addictive. The body falls, but the spirit decides to rise. Number 4. Mast. Mast entered with the calm of someone who had repeated the ritual thousands of times, but that calm shattered when the bull chose a strange sequence, a very high jump, a landing with its back arched, and a sudden break in direction that caught him off guard. Marcus tightened the rope, looked for his seat, tried to follow the spin. He couldn't. He was thrown to the side, and what came after is what makes this case unforgettable. He fell just a step away from the animal. It wasn't a clean fall, it was a fall that invited punishment. The bull pivoted on its axis and came back, not to escape, but to close the incident. First, a shove with its shoulder that dragged him halfway across the arena. Then a stomp on the shoulder and collarbone area that made the entire venue rumble. Marcus tried to shield himself with his forearms, but his muscles were already laid against hundreds of kilos in motion. The medical team rushed in with precision, immobilization, quick evaluation, orderly exit. Marcus raised his hand to the crowd. That gesture calmed everyone. In the end, the marks weren't only bruises on his skin. They were changes in how he read a bull. Let go earlier, anticipate the spin, accept that sometimes the only possible victory is walking away on your own feet. Number 3. Jose Vitor Lime. To say Jose Vitor Lime is to say excellence. Clean technique, cool head, confidence that doesn't need speeches. That's why his case weighs so much. Because even the finest can get trapped in the snare of a bull that decides to break the script. The exit was flawless. Body centered, free arm steady, eyes forward. The bull faked to one side and in the very next instant switched directions sharply. It was a sudden change of course with no warning. Jose tried to correct with his hips and knees, just as the manual dictates, but inertia beat him a fraction too late. His body lost the vertical and was thrown forward. He landed on his side and shoulder, and the impact shook the barrier. The hard part was what came next. The bull turned onto the path of his fall and brushed him as it passed, just enough to break his rhythm and leave him breathless. The bullfighters grabbed him by the arms and pulled him out of the danger zone. Jose stood up with that pride that needs no words. There was no celebration, no gestures, just a long breath. His hand pressed to his side, and the exit with his head held high. That day made it clear that perfection doesn't make you immune, it makes you responsible for coming back better. Number 2. Andre Scoparro.
The clock says 4. Ooh.
Andre Scoparro embodies the kind of rider who doesn't negotiate with fear. High pain threshold, strict discipline, fixed gaze. And yet, the bull he drew turned the arena into a maze with no exit. The animal came out with an energy that seemed to multiply with each stride. A vertical leap, a rear whip, and a reverse spin that robbed him of support. Andre tried to absorb the blow with his legs, but he ended up too far forward over the bull's neck. One step from disaster. At that instant, the beast lowered its front, raised its hindquarters, and catapulted him. He landed badly. The shoulder tried to shield the head still hit. The body rolled twice like a sack of sand. The bull turned and caught him with a sideways horn thrust that didn't pierce but shoved. That pressure knocked the air out of him. The bullfighters came in from 2 angles and broke the bull's line, giving him a corridor to escape. Andre, ears still ringing, sat up, blinked twice, and stood up with help. He walked slowly, but he walked. He left staring at the ground, replaying every mistake knowing he would climb back on. Because that's the only acceptable answer in his code. Number 1. Clay Guiton. First place goes to Clay Guiton because his moment wasn't just impact. It was a succession of the bull's decisions that seemed calculated to destroy confidence. The gate opened and the animal showed its entire repertoire in seconds. Vertical explosion, hip break, spin against the grip hand. Clay withstood the first jolt with leg strength, but the second one caught him without a seat. He was thrown off and landed in front of the front legs. The bull passed so close that the dirt slapped his face. He stood up by reflex, took a step, and then came the cruelest blow, a cross headbutt that bent him from jaw to shoulders. He went down again. The protection team rushed in at full speed. One of the bullfighters planted himself in front of the bull like a human wall, brushed it on the flank, and drove it toward the center of the arena so his teammates could get Clay out. Guiton touched his face, checked his teeth with his tongue, felt the metallic taste of blood, and still tried to stand. He needed 2 attempts. On the second, he made it. He raised his thumb and the arena exploded in applause. There was no sporting triumph. There was survival. There was a man who refused to stay down while pain screamed he couldn't. That's why this episode lives on in memory, because it doesn't just speak of the bull's strength, it speaks of the strength of character. If we put together the 10 cases that make up this special, Brady Olson, Bob Mitchell, Mason Taylor, Cooper Davis, Briggs Madson, Chase Doerty, Marcus Mast, Jose Vitor Limi, Andre Scoparro, and Clay Guiton, the pattern is clear. Strength doesn't win. The moment does. The bull decides the place and the time. A double blow that steals your breath. A reverse spin that ejects you. A headbutt that shuts you down. A drag that leaves you helpless. And on the other side, the human response. Bullfighters who risk their bodies, doctors who build the exit, riders who stand back up. These moments are 1 in a million because they reveal the heart of bull riding, a sport where the margin is a breath and glory and disaster share the same border. That's why these images aren't forgotten, because when the arena falls silent and a rider manages to stand, what you hear in the ovation is not just applause, it is respect. And in this world, that respect is worth more than any score.